Mr. Faris. I would like to welcome you to present.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
All right, so I'll share my screen and then I'll start my presentation. All right, so good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a great pleasure to be right here at ICELTICs 2022. I'll be here presenting my work, Open Government Data as a Digital Infrastructure for Public Information Services, case study of the city of Denpasar. I'm Faris Dari from Faculty of Computer Science, Universitas Indonesia. And this work is inspired by and then dedicated to all open data, open government data researchers and practitioners all around Indonesia and around the world. First things first, about the outline of my talk, I'll present an introduction and motivation to my work, and then the initialization and implementation of the Denpasar Data Bank, and then the benefits and challenges of the Denpasar Data Bank, and then lessons learned and application opportunities, and we wrap up with conclusions. So what is open government data? It consists of two components, open government and open data. Open government is the idea that people have the right to access all documents and policies of the government. And then open data is data that is accessible and free for anyone to use. These two things, when combined, will make up open government data. So why do we analyze OGD, open government data, in Denpasar? In general, OGD can be implemented at different scales, national, province, and city. And most of the related work focuses on the national scale implementations. So in this case, we conduct case study of the implementation of OGD in Denpasar. You should know Denpasar is the capital city of Bali, Indonesia. And Denpasar is special because it represents median city of Indonesia with the medium size of population in contrast to, let's say, Jakarta or Surabaya. And then it is located in the middle geographically, so between the western and eastern part of Indonesia. And here are some research questions motivating our research. First, how is the initiality in Denpasar? Second, what could be the potential benefits and challenges of the Denpasar open data? Third, what could be lessons learned? And then how do we replicate this result of OGD in Denpasar to other cities in Indonesia? For initialization, it starts from the regulation to make it more urgent and then with a stronger basis. So with respect to the national regulation, we have this Freedom of Information Act number 14 year 2008, or in Indonesian, UU Keterbukaan Informasi Publik. And the local regulation supporting the Denpasar Data Bank is the Mayoral Regulation number 35 year 2014 about e-government services in Denpasar. So in the article number 18 to 20 in the Mayoral Regulation states that every government unit in Denpasar provide data and information in the context of e-government in an interoperable and secure manner with the flexibility of shared hosting. And before we release the data into public, there are several data publications to take into account carefully. So first, data formatting, next, data licensing, and then data description, and then data sensitivity. This is particularly important with the recently released the UU PDP, or the Act of Data Protection of Private Data, and then data timeliness, and then data completeness, and then data correctness. So here we have the data bank workflow for cities, which could be implemented actually not only for Denpasar, but all cities in Indonesia and all around the world. We have the upper part, the process, and then lower part, the actors. There are two actors here: local administration, open data platform, and consumer. And then they are for process, step by step. So first, data integration. Data is collected from various in the city, and then the internal data management. We have to make sure about the quality. So we do quality checking according to the data publication as aspects previously mentioned. And then in the data publication part, we have already released and open data to public. And once the data is released on public, the government and the public and the application developers can consume the data. So various government agencies can consume the data, public and application developers. They can develop nice applications for web and mobile phones for the goodness of the society and then the city of Denpasar itself. And then here we have a screenshot of the landing page of the Denpasar data bank. We have this banner of the definition of open data, and we also have the search bar, which is really useful to look for data that we need. And then we also have data sets grouped by the topics like economy and then citizenship and then healthcare and so on. And when you go to this bankdata.denpasarkota.go.id, you can also see more. For example, data sets organized by the agencies, by tax, and then the entities responsible for the implementation of the data bank. And here's an example of data set in the Denpasar data bank. We have this data about motor vehicle growth in Denpasar from year 2011 to 2015, with the passenger cars, delivery cars, buses, motorcycles, and the total. So we have first this raw data in tables, and then we also have visualization. It's already provided in the Denpasar data bank site. And some benefits of the Denpasar data bank. First, improving transparency. This is clear because now public can see the inside of the government. Nothing is hidden. And second, promoting public participation and innovation. I'll give you an example. Let's say researchers can then analyze life quality of people in Denpasar thanks to data about pollution, public transportation, health facilities, and so on. That helping in coordination and decision making. Again, an example. Let's say we are a hotel businessman who would like to build new hotels to support local economy. Then we need data about tourism attractions, land use, and then locations of existing hotels. And then next, simplifying information openness and budget evaluation. This is really crucial because for effective use and then easier budget auditing by officials. And what could be challenges for implementing the open government data in Denpasar? There are four aspects: legal aspect, technological aspect, information dissemination aspect, and interagency coordination aspect. For the legal aspect, for sure, we have to conform to the local regulations and national regulations, of course. So like the Freedom of Information Act number 14, 2008, and then Ombudsman Act number 37, year 2008, and then Public Services Act number 25, year 2009, and then government regulation about implementation of Freedom of Information Act number 61, year 2010. And then technology aspect, it is really crucial for the availability of devices and internet connection in any location in Denpasar. So it has to be equal access. And then not just about quantity, but also quality is important. Next, information dissemination. We have to think of public outreach and then feedback session by the citizen of the current implementation of the open government data. And then we can do some events, competitions, and hackathon to support the use of the open government data. And then next, interagency coordination. So we have to coordinate better in a more effective way among government agencies. And then the availability of the standard operating procedures, or SOP, for the data publication is really important. And with respect to lessons learned, actually the implementation of open government data or the Denpasar data bank is already nice with respect to the metadata. It's quite complete. However, one note is that the dataset naming could be more improved, could be made more clearly, less ambiguous. And then with respect to metadata format, most of the data is in PDF, and PDF is not that good in the sense that it's less machine readable. So better formatting would be spreadsheets or CSV because they are more machine readable. And next, data completeness improvement. So the open government data, the Denpasar data bank has around 900 datasets. It might seem quite many, but we need actually more and more data sets about all aspects of citizen lives. The number has to improve, and then the data has to be very, very timely. And then with respect to replication opportunities, so first, policy support. As you see, Indonesia is very large. So we have, let's say, different policies, different support, different intention by local governments. So when we want to implement the open government data, the first thing we have to have is the good intention and strong motivation from an open government. And then it has to be supported by local regulations, like regional regulations of Perda, head of agency regulations of Perhub, and then head of city or mayor regulation, Perwali. And of course, it is of importance for human resources who will execute all the regulations, and also technical staff who understand the IT. And then with respect to IT infrastructure, because in Indonesia, we have different cities with different IT readiness. So we have to take that into account. Improving open government data would consequently mean improving IT infrastructure around Indonesia. And then more developed cities can collaborate and train other cities for the open government data implementation. And this is the end of my talk, my presentation. The idea is that the open government data in Denpasar, in the form of Denpasar Data Bank, would set a good role model for all other cities in Indonesia to follow. Actually, Jakarta and Bandung have already made good initiative as well, but that's not enough. So because all cities or regions in Indonesia have to do this for better Indonesia with respect to more open government data in Indonesia. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you very much, and I'll welcome any questions. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Faris, for your presentation. Is there any question from the floor? Okay, I have one question. I think what you're doing is great because I think this is something that's quite impossible to do with our bureaucracy. So how did you get all of the different institutions to share their data with you?
Thank you for the question. That's interesting. So we usually have the assumption that it's really hard to get data from government, and we have to break that assumption. And in fact, when I did this research, I I didn't even contact at all the government of Denpasar, to be honest, because they already have all my needs without even needing to contact them, and that's really the best one could do. So it already cut the bureaucracy steps to contact them, to make like an official letter asking the data, because the data is actually public, the data is open. So, and in general, we have paid for the data. It's made from our tax money, and that's it. So I didn't ask them. They have the data, and then I did my analysis, and I think my analysis could be useful to them. So I hope they can see this result from this paper at ICELTICs.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Faris. It's very interesting. Round of applause. Thank you so much, Mr. Faris.